Well, Cavs fans, we've been wanting to do a Spencer Squared segment for a while now, and we finally get a chance to do it. Spencer German, Spencer Davies, we're out here at the Cavs practice facility in Independence after practice wrapped up. Team just about to get on the road here for their final preseason game against the Indiana Pacers. Spencer, we got a chance to talk to JB Bickerstaff, got a chance to talk to Evan Mobley today, but also we saw somebody doing some work at the end of practice day as well. What did you notice out on the court today?
Well, for one, that man was Jared Allen. So Jared Allen's working with Tristan Thompson, Damian Jones, the big man group, just getting some light hook shots up. So no big deal there. But the good sign is that he's been doing post-practice work, and he's been trying to at least get back from that ankle injury that's been holding him back. And he obviously hasn't played a game yet. So that's been a positive for the Cavs at least. But, heading over to Indiana to finish up the preseason. It's going to be a dress rehearsal, as JB Bickerstaff put it, 3 quarters of real basketball with what we're likely going to see from the rotations. So should be fun.
We also talked to Evan Mobley, as I mentioned, and I specifically asked him the question, like, everyone's talking about what year 3 of Evan Mobley looks like. And I said, what do you think year 3 of Evan Mobley looks like? What are you trying to kind of do this year? And he had an interesting answer. He talked about, different face-up moves and trying to attack the basket, which is what I've kind of felt should be the next phase of his game. But I also know there's a lot of fans out there, Spencer, who feel like the next phase of his game should be shooting threes. Now, that was something that I think we've seen him sort of do a little bit more of in the preseason as well. Where are you at with just sort of what year 3 of Evan Mobley looks like?
I think that's exactly what he needs to do, is to work on the face-up game, make sure he can use that left shoulder, really get digging down deep and trying to get and beat those big guys. I don't know if necessarily the 3-point line is where he's going to make most of his money. If he can be a threat out there, great. Do you want him shooting 21% like last year? No. But if he can get that above 30 and be at least a tiny bit of a perimeter threat, that's nice. But he's not going to be out there all that much. He's not going to space the floor as much as some of these other stretch bigs do. He's more of a guy that's going to handle the ball. He's going to be working in those dribble handoffs with Max Strus, a la Bam Adebayo. We're going to look at him, with his handle. He talked to me about that in practice today, just working on that over the summer and trying to tighten things up, making sure that he's not leaving it out to dry and, leading to turnovers and whatever it may be. So I think that his next step, honestly, in his evolution should be that face-up game, should be more utilized as a passer. And defensively, we already know what he can do. Yeah. He's roaming the floor. He's got an insane recovery time, amount of ground covered. It's just all really come together for him, and I'm excited to see what it looks like in year 3.
Well, and the hope is that can become the next phase of his game because you add a guy like Max Strus, who you're hoping is your everyday 3, the guy who's out there sort of taking care of that for you, because that's been the issue the last couple of years has been, well, this team doesn't have anybody to shoot threes. Maybe that's Evan Mobley's job to figure out. But I don't think you have to worry about that as much, and if he can be sort of that dribble drive, kick out to a guy like Max Strus, attack the basket, almost – I hate doing comparisons here because it always sets the bar very, very high, but it's the same sort of thing Giannis does, right? Like, he attacks the rim. He's not going to be a guy who's shooting a lot of threes, but he is a monster. Like, if that's what Evan Mobley can become in like the shadow of that, at least like some same type of player, maybe not same level. I'm not trying to put that bar on him. Then I think that would obviously be good news for the Cavs fans.
100%. And that's the prototype I think you look at with Evan Mobley. You're not going to see someone who's going out there, stepping out, hitting threes like constantly. That's just not what Evan Mobley is. He's just kind of a Mr. Do-It-All, if that makes sense. He's going to be putting it on the floor a little bit more. I'm looking forward to seeing what Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell look like around him, with Max Strus waiting out on the wing, with George Niang out in the perimeter just waiting for the catch, right? So you can diversify your offense a little bit, and I think it's going to be a little bit easier for the Cavs to score now just because they have those extra threats and some new personnel to surround their all-stars. And Evan Mobley is going to be the one kind of, I think, facilitating a little bit more just as a hub in the middle of the floor, again, with the dribble handoffs, with the backdoor pass, cut pass into those guys, all that stuff. So, yeah, he's got a decent way to go still, but the returns are promising.
I certainly expect to see that a lot this season. He talked about that, how he already has this preseason, started working on that. So we'll see it in real games coming up, obviously, next week. A week from today, or a week from yesterday, I should say, actually. But as we said, one final preseason contest against the Indiana Pacers tomorrow night on Friday. Is there anything Spence specific? I know it's the preseason. You take it all with a grain of salt. It doesn't necessarily mean much, but is there anything specific that you're looking for in this final game, this final dress rehearsal before the season gets going next week?
JB Bickerstaff gave us about the most cliche answer you could probably get. He said, play Cavalier basketball. But really, it's just about fitting in those new pieces that we were just mentioning. Strus, Niang, Ty Jerome and Karis LeVert showed us a lot of good things the other night against Maccabi Ranana with just the backcourt.
You crushed in my head a couple of times and make sure flawlessly.
Well, he's a good guy, and he's actually the dad of Keontae George, so it was cool to see him play. But no, I think just fitting in those pieces when they're in Indiana, getting Strus acclimated a little bit more, the wind, their conditioning, I think that's a big part of all this too. So it wraps up tomorrow, and then after the weekend, we're on to the first week of the NBA season. Hard to believe it. Yeah. Hard to believe it.
It's crazy. It's already here. Real quick to get us out of here. I've been sort of tossing this around. Again, preseason, not trying to get ahead of myself, but Emoni Bates has had a very good preseason. He's looked pretty good. He's looked like he can hold his own against some NBA-level talents. But do we expect him to have maybe a bigger role than I'm not saying he's going to be like an everyday player, first guy off the bench or anything, but could you see him spending more time maybe with the NBA club than we initially thought?
This is the radio guy and you coming out with the hot takes.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think that we will see a little bit more of Emoni Bates initially than we expected. Is he going to be a main part of the rotation? I don't think so. I think that's just a little too fast and too furious for somebody who's only 19, needs to fill out his body a little bit more. But with that said, JB Bickerstaff said it's really important to have him around some of these veterans and some of the guys in the locker room because they're really close and tight-knit, and the environment is just, it's perfect for somebody like an Emoni who just needs, that structure a little bit, something he's not used to. And for the fact that Emoni was talking about that on the floor, he doesn't have to handle the ball all that much. He's able to kind of use the off-ball skills that he has and just shoot the dang thing. And I think he's had 21 of 29 attempts have been from three, and he's just letting it fly. And, he's getting off the ball, he's making cuts, he's catching. And then defensively, he's getting his hands on some things, some deflections. He's got a couple blocks. So good stuff from Emoni. And it's a patience pays off thing with Emoni, but there is a lot to be excited about with him.
No doubt about it. Yeah, and I do think he said it. I think JB said it. He's in a great situation because this team is pretty deep, as we've kind of seen. And we are expecting that they're going to have a lot of different role players who are coming off the bench. JB talked about playing 10, 11 deep this year. Yep. And that will take a lot of pressure off of him where he can just kind of come in, get acclimated to the NBA level, and maybe it means he turns into something down the line. So I had to ask it. I had to squeeze it in. But that's going to do it for Spence and I over at the Cavs practice facility. Obviously, like we said, Cavs wrap up the preseason on Friday night against the Indiana Pacers. And then the real deal gets going next Wednesday out in Brooklyn. So until next time, we should be back. I think you and I will be back next week with a couple more of these, hopefully, as practice keeps going. So we look forward to talking to you guys again soon. But until next time, thanks for watching, and go Cavs.